Everything lined up here. Always something. Ugh. And I got to make sure that I don't. There we go. Got the volume off. Okay, good. There we are. Okay. So, hello. I see. I see. Soldier's already been in here with a comment, so that's good. That was pretty funny. Went to the Chinese buffet, so I got to wait till it takes effect. Yeah, I understand that. Well, as you can see here, we've got a blank on here to make a couple pens. And as soon as we get a couple people in here, we'll get started on this. So just kind of waiting for everybody to show up. We'll. Oops. I'll kind of put myself in the picture for a moment. Yeah. Hey, Soldier. I love your comment about the Chinese food. That's funny. Enjoy the buffet. Don't overindulge. I used to like going to Chinese buffets, but unfortunately, certain health issues keep me from going to Chinese buffets anymore. So I kind of avoid them. That if you can just still do that, that's great. You know. Man, I wish there was a good way for me to be able to see what I'm seeing on the screen, and also what you're writing. Yeah, I don't go very often either. Once a year, usually on my birthday, we have a favorite Chinese restaurant around here that's very good. I mean, it's actually run by a Chinese family, and it's been around for probably 40 years, and it's very elegant table service dining, uh, just extremely efficient service, and the food is just fabulous, and the price is, you can't beat the price. Two of us eat and take a lot home with us for about less than $50. So it's certainly worth it. Uh, yeah, please smash the like button. I appreciate that. Uh, what was that? Wong spinning? No, I'm actually. Uh, I'm actually going to be doing a couple of pins here first, and then we're going to doing a bowl. So we're kind of mixing it up a little bit today, trying a little bit of different things. So please stick in here, and as soon as we get a few people in here, we'll start spinning. But one of the things, by the way, that I did, I know a lot of you guys have been turning pen blanks, but one of the things I do when I'm sanding the sides, to make sure that it's nice and even here, is I also sand the edge. Take off that little bit of that sharp edge that you have here, and that makes it just a little bit easier to turn, and it takes no effort on your part. And I think it's just a great way to start things, you know. Muharen, I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think it's a good tip too. It's something I've been doing for years on my pens. Call me lazy, but I've also had a few where I had a real soft wood, and it caught that edge and it just ripped it right apart, and I had to throw the whole piece away. So, that was number one. Oh, it looks like Duke managed to escape. I'm watching the game up here. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but Duke was down by 11 points at halftime. Came back and didn't really come back and take lead until about 3 minutes left in the game. It was almost a number 16 being a number 1. I mean, the number 16 came really, really, really close. We've already had a number 12 beat a number 5. So, I feel bad for Siena. Feel good for the Dukes group. So, it's we already have a few things that have busted our March Madness pieces already. So we'll see what they do. Am I from Russia? No, I'm from the U.S. I'm sorry, but okay. Well, guys, we got people in here, so I think I'll get started now. I'm using Coca-Cola right now, and this is very, very dense hard wood. As you can see, when I was sanding it, it is extremely hard, dense wood. This little piece of wood is very heavy. It weighs a couple of ounces or more in this little bitty package. So it's a very dense, hard wood. It polishes up real nice, turns a little hard, and you also need to be aware of the dust factor. You don't want to be breathing this dust in. Miami of Ohio is in the playoff. They won yesterday. They are in the tournament. They will be playing tomorrow, just so if anybody's asking. And they certainly deserve to be there. I think they should have been there to begin with, personally. But it's just me. Okay, so we got a couple of different ways of approaching this. We can use, this is a 1/4 inch gouge, or I can use this as more of a spindle gouge right here. So both of them do their job, and I'll kind of demonstrate the difference between them. This one, you can come up the side like this and treat it just like you do any other gouge. And look how quickly that removes the wood. Well, even with a hard wood, with a very sharp, very small gouge, you can take a lot of wood off. Now, a lot of you probably have this. I'm going to try and get you a better view. I'm sorry. Okay. Here I was not paying attention there for a minute. There. Hopefully that's a little better view. Okay, and here we have more of the spindle gouge. And it also is efficient. So it just depends what tool you have. The key factor here is speed. I'm at about 1,300 RPM at the moment. I think I'm going to move up in just a little bit more closer. That's about as close as I can get. And you want to be kind of careful not to take off too much at once. You can't get away from you. Okay, so we're going to start working our way down there a little bit. That wasn't good. Don't like that. There's a little. Sounds like there's a little ripping going on the wood. I want to make sure it's shearing off nicely. Okay. Right, quickly, we got, now see what happened is we got kind of a corkscrew when I did that. So I'm going to use this, oops, use this to kind of straighten that out just a little bit. It's a small skew. Yeah. And it took that ripple out of there. And I think we'll just use a little bit of sanding. And I don't know about you all, but I buy my sanding like this. It's really easy for me to do 4 different grits very easily. I want, oops, sticking out just a little bit. There we go. Get that one out, and this one out, and this one out. And this one out. Get my scissors. There we go. Get my scissors and cut these 4 off. And I always like to mark them. So this is the 400. This is the 320. This is the 240. And this last one is the 150. I don't usually need to go higher than that. I know some guys do, especially if you're using acrylics and so forth. But if you're using wood, you really don't usually need to go up higher than this to get a good finish. I'm going to start with the 150 here. And I'm going to turn my fan on. And this is just to kind of get any high spots off. That's all this is for. Feel a little bit high there. I'm right at the, so the idea is to be right on with this splitting. Okay. And then if you give it a little cross scratch each time before you go to the next frame. 40. Okay. Already getting very, very, very nice. Very nice. Go to 320. And this is all dry sanding. You don't have to do wet sanding when you're doing wood, unless you're doing like an iron wood or something. You don't want to over sand either. Okay. Another little scratch. And the last one, I'm going to go up to 400. 400. And you don't want to be pulling hard. You just want it to be touching, contacting the surface. Let it, the sandpaper do the work. And very slowly at the end to get it all off. Okay, good. That's nice and smooth. Okay, and that's the entire sanding right there. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that one inch stuff is great for it's great for sanding small surfaces. This is wonderful stuff. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you put the bushings. Now these particular bushings are made for this particular pin that I'm doing right now. This happens to be an 8 millimeter pin on a 7 inch mandrel. So this mandrel here, the bushing fits into it, and then this bushing is made to fit. The other end of this bushing is made to fit into the 8 inch mandrel in the middle of the wood. So I will show you how that all goes together here in just a minute. Okay. Mandrel savers. So you have a tailstock part of it. Yeah, I mean I use this as my tailstock. There's some that have like that just have a guy, but I like having the tailstock in here. It keeps it straight. And what you don't want to do is put any pressure on this because you can actually bend this mandrel, and when you bend it, you're going to get an off. It's not going to turn properly. You don't want to be jamming this or too much or anything. You just want it to be tightened by this little knurl screw right here. That's all you need. Okay. So let me get my finish on here. Okay. I'm going to use a little tried and true grit right here. These pin kits came to me from a company called um, yeah, well that's great. These from Strongink. I'm sorry. These came to me from Strongink. They wanted me to try them out, and so I said I would. And so this is actually the first pin I'm making from them. But I did do an opening the other day, and their products are really, really well made. I gotta say. Okay, let me get the speed up here a little bit. We'll get that on there. The Trident Grew has just a little bit of very fine um, grit in it to just kind of polish it a little bit, and at the same time, it's got a beeswax polymer in it, so it's really good for this sort of thing. Look at that! Look at that shine. I'll put this other light on you can see it a little better, maybe. I don't know, but there it is. And okay, now I'm going to let that. I'm going to put that on dry it. Wipe it off a little bit. There you go. Not quickly. You have a polished pen. Okay. It doesn't take a whole lot of work on this. I know people go through lots of different iterations to do this, but for when you're using the right woods, not acrylics and so forth, you can do this pretty easily. Okay, so I'm going to remove this, and you'll see what I was talking about here in just a second. Okay, so what you have is you have a piece of wood. I'll show you what this looked like before. You have a piece of wood. I'll put it up closer to the camera. You see the brass in here? That brass tube, you drill a hole. In this case, it was an 8 millimeter hole, and you glue this brass tube in with some sort of a CA glue or an epoxy, either one. I usually use CA glue, and you make sure that you've sanded at both ends so that it's right flush with the edge of the of the of the brass tube. Okay, that brass tube is going to be what goes on here. So this is at 8 millimeters. So what you have is a 7 millimeter mandrel. So you have this mandrel here, this bushing here that goes on the 7 millimeter mandrel and holds it. And then this fits right into it. Oops, like so. And that's what holds it on each end. And this is also what tells you that it is you're coming down to the right amount of depth on the wood, because you want this thing to match right here with the bushing. Okay. Probably not using my best English right now, but that's okay. All right, so let me put this wax away real quick. I'll hold these on here for a moment too. I don't want to lose those bushings. You lose your bushings, and you got to go through the expense of getting a whole other set, and it's just a big pain. So we try not to do that. All right, so okay, so here we go. Well, I'm going to take and let this sit for just a couple minutes. Wipe it off good. I want that to dry, and we'll go ahead and turn the other one, and then we'll put the two pins together. You get a chance to see, but look at how that shines. That is just really, really nice. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside for the moment here, and we'll do the other one. Okay, so I'm going to slip this on here. It goes right into that bushing. This bushing goes in the other end, and we tighten this knurl down. Nice and tight. Not too tight, just nice and tight so it's holding it, so everything spins together. We bring the tailstock back up, tighten it, or turn it there. We're in position, and that's all there is to it to start the next one. Okay. Let's see. Hi, Wilson, by the way. I can very much vouch for the Strongink. Yes, they are very good. And I don't know if you saw it, Michael, earlier, but I was mentioning that when I sand the sides, I also sand the corners here, so it's a little bit easier to take everything off because you're not hitting that sharp edge each time. It saves you a lot of work. So just a little tip, because I am 2-minute tips after all. So okay, let's turn this one. Now I'm going to go back to the gouge this time, and we'll see what damage we can do with that one, huh? And take it a couple turns. Yeah. You have to really go slow that first time if you're trying to get this round. I'm just trying to hit the hair off. All right. So you see, I've already started to round it there. Okay, so now, second time through, you don't want to go too fast. You go just slow enough for the wood to catch up with you. Even though this is pretty hard cocoa bola wood, it's going to be mostly the round in just a couple passes. That fast, we're round. Well, nearly round. Maybe a couple tiny little flat spots, but that's basically round. Okay, we'll go back to this other one just to see how it works with this. And I like to work down from the middle. And down from the middle. Alrighty, we are pretty close. Okay, a little better light here. So even with really hard wood, you can do that pretty quickly. Hey Alex, good to see you. Please hit that like button if you're in here watching. When we're done with these pins, we are going to go on to doing a bowl. But I thought we'd start today with something a little fun, and then go from there. Let's see, how close am I here? Pretty close and pretty close. Okay, I think I can do the rest with just sandpaper. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to do it all with just the gouge. You want to use your sandpaper is your friend actually, because it allows you to kind of smooth everything out. Right now, I need to get that middle kind of evened out a little bit. Yep. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in reverse this time. Do a little reverse sanding too. All right. I'm going to take that one off a little bit. We'll go to 240. Look how much comes off of there that quickly. You can over sand very quickly if you're not careful. So don't over sand. That's nice and even now. We'll go to the 320. And finally, we'll do the 400. feels pretty good. Okay. All right. So now we got that one out of the way. Now let's get a little more, wipe that off a little bit. Put some of this True Grit on here. Okay. Close this up so it doesn't get contaminated. You don't use much of this. It gets kind of expensive for a little tin of this stuff, but the tin lasts a long, long time. Make sure it really gets into the wood. Like so. And then we'll use a little dry part of the cloth to kind of bring out the polish in it a little bit. Okay. Here we are. I'm going to take this mandrel out. If I can here. I'm going to very carefully remove the bushings and remove the piece of wood because it's still wet at this point. We just put stuff on it. So I'm going to take it from the bushing up like so. Allow me to come over here for just a minute and set this down. Okay, like so. We're going to take its partner here. We're going to bring it over. And we'll take these out of the way here so we can do some assembly work. As you can see, it doesn't take long to do these pens. And what I like about the Strongink pens is that they are really good at the assembly part. I mean, the assemblies are very easy to do, much easier than I've seen in the past, where you had to really be careful how you put them together. These seem to be a little bit more intelligently put together, so to speak. I am working with the company a little bit because they probably need some better instructions on some of them. You kind of have to guess a little bit. I mean, you can figure it out if you've made a few pens, and as you progress, you pretty much know how they go together. But it would be nice, especially for the novice, to have some more instructions. There is all instructions, and there is videos for almost all of the pens they have. But what I thought was really nice is if you have any questions, you can just contact the company, and they will get right back to you with an answer to any of your questions. I mean, I've contacted them and gotten a response within an hour in some cases. So, I mean, they really do get back to you, and that's terrific. Set that on the floor for now. I'm going to take this out of my way too. Okay, and we're going to do our assembly. I think I can put a towel down here. Might be a little bit better. Let's see. There we go. That'll keep things a little bit cleaner. I'm kind of a messy person sometimes, you know. So, okay, let me make sure that you can see all this in the picture. I'm going to have to adjust you just a little bit so you can see this, but there you go. Okay, so we have all the parts right here. This is the top of the cap right here. And then you have your the pen, the ink. Right? Put that down here for the moment. And all these little bitty plastic containers, one for each. Now, the nice thing about Strongink is because they are the manufacturer, if you lose a part or you break a part or something like that, you can contact them and you can order a replacement part, no problem. So that's something you can't do with some of the other manufacturers, some of the other dealers out there, but this one you can. So these are the pieces. There's basically 4 pieces, plus the piece that we started with. So there's not a whole lot, not a whole lot to this. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to put this nub on one end. This is the tip. So let me get these out of my way for the moment. Set them aside. And this is just a press. They're readily available, and they're pretty cool tools because you just set this in like so. If I can get my fingers to work. There we go. And you just bring the arm up this thing and just push in. Up. Going sideways on me a little bit. I want to make sure it stays straight. Okay. There we go. And it goes straight in, just like that. Okay. Now we got on the other end. This one we have to put it in with the smaller end in here, like so. So we're going to set that in there. Raise the lever a little bit. I make sure that it's going in straight. No, in fact, I think I'll adjust that just a little bit. There we go. If it's not going in easily, it's going in crooked, and that's not what you want. So you want to be making sure that you're getting it in there like so. Okay, good. Now it's in there. All right. The next step is put the cartridge in. Put this over the top and screw it in like this. And finally, right end, you put this on here like so, and you're done. And you have a twist pin. Isn't that beautiful? I'll probably go back and polish this up just a little bit more, but that quickly, you have a pin. So really nice pin too. I mean, this is very high quality, hefty. I love that it has a little bit of a give here, so this is gonna last a long time. The clip. So that's one. Let me grab the other one here. That is probably the fastest I've ever put together a pen. It's even faster than I think the slimline pens, to be honest with you. If any of you use those. Yeah, it's an amazing kit. It is one of my faves too because it looks really cool. It looks better than just a slimline pen does. To be honest with you, and this one is the gunmetal finish one. So this is going to be even cooler, I think. I got to take these bushings off. Don't want to lose them. Okay, and we'll set that aside, and we'll figure out, okay, which end do we want to use this on? I think, ooh, that fit right in there. Didn't even have to struggle. Okay, not sure I like that. Let me see. Okay, well, it went in good. All right, we'll put this one in the other end, and we'll press that in. There we go. That one's pressed in. Okay, and we will put the pin in and screw this on. There we go. And where's the cap? Here's the cap. And now we have our gunmetal one also. So 2 different pins. There we go. Put that all the way on. And what do you think? 2 different pins very quickly with that Coca-Cola. I like it a lot. So there you go. 2 pins. Okay. You're going through a new pen rabbit hole just now with molding. Yeah, making your own molds. Making your own molds is great. Doing a Scottish flag blank, that's cool. That would be really cool. I think that's well, you also weren't you going to do something with people's initials on pins, or the name of the company on a pin, or something like that? Yeah, I thought that's one of the things you were working on doing. I just want to put these bushings away before I lose them because it's really important that you keep the right bushings with the right pins, or you end up screwing up one of your blanks. Now, just so you know, I've got some other things coming, including a rather ambitious pepper mill, which I gotta really figure out first. So I'm not going to be doing the pepper mill right away. It takes a lot of different drilling bits and so forth. And I did order myself a full set of millimeter drilling bits. I know some of you in Europe didn't have to do that, but I did. So I got my European drill bits because they're in millimeters, and got me a whole set. They're in half inch, they're in half a millimeter lengths. So you start like 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, and so forth, and all the way up through 13. So I can do just about any drilling that I need to do. So we're gonna put this out of our way for now. That was a fun little project for a few minutes, but you can see how fast. Let's see, we're only like about 45 minutes in, and we made 2 pins, and that was me slowing down to kind of instruct along the way. If I was just doing it on my own, I'd say probably 30 minutes tops to make those 2 pins. And yeah, that's you could knock out 4 or 5, 6 at a time. That's really going to improve your profitabilities. By the way, I have some pieces here. I got a question for you. I have a piece of burled oak and a piece of birch and another piece of burled oak. You can see in here, if you look really closely, I don't know if I can get this up on the screen here, but you can see the waves in this wood. And you can see all the stuff that's going on in this one. Okay. And you can see this birch. Birch is cool because it creates its own colors and waves in the wood. So which one would you think I should do on a slim pin next, or on another pin? Any suggestions? Anyone have a preference of those 3? The oak or the birch? And yes, we're going back to the standard. I think I'm going to have to lower my air conditioning just a little bit. It's hot here, just so you know. Oh, it's 90 degrees today. And or more. It's 90 degrees right now, and it was up around 92, 93 yesterday. So that's pretty early in the year for getting temperatures like that. And body hasn't quite gotten used to that yet. So that was kind of a shock from our friends in the Midwest. They went from 80s to 22 degrees Fahrenheit a couple days ago. So they're getting hit too. You like the oak burl? Okay. 11 Celsius, which is about 40 degrees. That's yeah. But that's summer where you are. That's true. That's you're almost out of the coat and into a sweater at that point, right? I don't think we're going to get to that this year. We tend to have a lot more temperature than that. Okay, so here's what we got now, and I'll try and give you a better perspective. This is going to be an end turning. I'm not going to keep this bark on, and it's going to come flying at me, and it's going to be bad, and it's probably going to hurt. I'm warning myself right now. It also has some soft spots in here where there's a couple of little limbs that were coming off the side of the tree. So as I'm turning this, if I say ouch a lot, it's because it hurt. Okay? So we're going to kick the speed up a little bit. Let's start here and see how much this hurts. Okay. I think it can come in a little bit. There we go. A little bit closer. Like I said, that was a little bit painful. Well, they're coming off. Ouch. I'll see. I see. I start to turn something that's hurting me, and everybody starts to come in here. Whoa, that was a big chunk. That was a big chunk of wood that actually came out that time. Okay, so we're starting to here we go again. There. And that quickly, we've gotten most of the bark off of here. Yeah, I'm in shorts. So I'm in shorts also, but that's just because, well, you know, I don't do well in the heat. So. Okay, we are relatively round at this point. There's a little bit of bark right there. That's not a big deal. I do want to flatten out this bottom here. So need to get that set up. Yeah. that's better. Now I can kind of come in here from the other side and straighten that out a little bit. All right. We have almost reached. Now the problem here is this is the same. This is the brother of the one we had the other day, where it had all of this wood that was so soft you could just tear it out with your finger. So as we come around here, we're going to have some of that where you have hardwood and softwood. Hear the difference? Yeah. So as we come around on this, it's going to do that grabby thing. Okay, that's what we had last time. So I'm going to try and square some of this up just a little bit. That softwood is basically just going to be tear out. And my concern is whether I can even get a tenon on here. And I'm not sure that I can. If that's the case, I'm going to have to turn this with the faceplate on and just make a bowl this way and work with it later. So I think that's what I'm going to have to do here. I normally would have made a tenon here, but this wood is just, look at this. It's just too clunky to hold any kind of tenon. It's just not going to do it. So plan B, we will fashion this so that it can be turned this way. And that's fine with me. Okay. So let's kind of make a little bit of a. Let's see. We gotta kind of curve this up some. This is the problem when you're trying to do an end grain cut sometimes, is you think it's not going to get solid wood. I'm going to do something a little interesting here. I'm going to make a bowl with its own plate on the bottom, basically. Okay, so let's see what we got here. All right. Let me use the skew here. Now, I know the bottom is going to get sanded, so I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about, though, is this. I want this to look really nice and clean. Whoa, that is really touchy there. Okay. I think I got that cleaned out pretty good. Okay, good. So now see, this is going to be like a base, and the bowl is going to be from here to here. So something else in here to turn with. I think the bowl nodes would probably be better in this case. Yeah, it's more stable. Okay. All right. Look at that. We've established a an outside. I think we can work with that. Good. All right. Now, next steps. Going on the inside. What do you think, guys? Is this something you haven't tried before? Hey, Sergio. Hey, Mike. Two hats up. Yeah. Well, Mike, this is my end grain one here that I'm doing. But before that, you missed. I did two pens. If you didn't see them yet, so yeah, and I'm ducking these pieces that are come flying off at me. So, but I did two pins earlier. They both came out really nice. So now we are seeing what we can do with this. So this is so punky. Man, look at that. It's not even cutting off. I'm going to look at that. It is just, this is just, it's end grain. You're going into end grain and it's just punky. I'm going to have to sharpen this. I hope I still got some left in here. I'm going to have to sharpen this one because it's, it ain't gonna make it through otherwise. This is going to be a tough, cutting into end grain is a real challenge. So I'm kind of glad I took this one on today. I think I was up for a challenge like this. So hopefully you guys will stick around with me. And hit that like button and subscribe. Or if you'd like to become a member. Oh, and also I did leave a link to the Strongink discount in the description. So if you look down in the description of this video, you'll see a link to Strongink that you can use to get I think it's a 3 discounts if I'm not mistaken. So This is going to be kind of weird, I gotta say. Somewhere along the line, I'm going to hit hardwood in this. And that's when it's going to get weird. I think I just did. I think we might have. And let's take a look. My wife is out getting her hair done. She hasn't done it in a long time. So I'm hoping that it goes well. Boy, I hope it's going well. And hopefully I clean that up a little bit. Yeah, you just got a little bit more there to clean up. Yeah, that'll clean up good now. Okay. Now back to this. Yeah, it does look like a little bit of a brandy snifter. I'm thinking this might be more like a flower pot, to be honest with you, where you put a potted plant inside it. I think that's what this is going to end up being. But I could be wrong. People do different things with them. For all you know, they could turn it into a candy dish. You know, you can't tell what people are going to do with something once they buy it. What I am going to do is I'm going to be displaying this one next to the one that I turned the other day. But since it's two different ways of turning the same piece of branch, and that one came out really pretty. I don't know what this one's going to look like. I'm thinking it's just on the fire pit. You know, you don't know. Boy, it's just beating me up though. Look at that. It's just punky, punky, punky. Let you look in there a second. Look at this. That's what I'm turning. Now, in between, there's little bits of hardwood like this right here. So I hit the hardwood in between all this punky stuff. So it really does make it for an interesting turn. I still got a pretty good edge, but I might have to go fix it again. But, you know, we like sketchy on here, right? We do sketchy sometimes. And there's that hardwood. And that's the sketchy part. It's holding on. Yeah, I would never been able to turn this with a tenon. Or even I don't think with a glue hold. The face thing is the only way to hold this on. So, and you're going to have to sharpen up again. This is just, look at it. Now I'm hitting hardwood here. You can tell just by the way it's kicking it. Look at all this. It's just tearing out, tearing out, tearing out. When we get near the bottom, I'm going to have to use something else to try and cut it a little bit smoother. And then I'm just going to have to sand the hell out of that in the inside to get that good. But what I'm mostly making sure is I don't crack anything here while I'm doing this. That would ruin the whole project. So you can't just press in and just go for it. You have to be kind of careful as you're doing this too. So let me get the sharp edge on this again. So am I the only one out there who has a college bracket set up for the college playoffs, or some of the rest of you got one too? Do I think a carbide would be better? I don't think so. It would have a scraping effect, but let's just, for the fun of it, let's take the carbide here, because you're going to have the same problem. You're going to have that tear out problem. It will probably end up being a little bit smoother, which is why I'm probably going to go to a scraper at the end, but I don't think the carbide is necessarily going to. And I'm going to try and hide the speed up too. Let's see. It's still kind of rough. See how that's doing. It's got the same tear out, but it's been pretty effective, so I can keep it on here for a minute. You know, and we can keep trying it. I think though I'm going to change my approach with my interior here. I will say that the carbide is giving me a little bit more control on the shaping as I'm shaping down the bowl here. So I'm right about here. I don't have a lot further to go. Let's see. Hi, Harry. Welcome in. Yeah, I know, from the guy who only uses carbides. Well, and I'm not afraid to use carbides, no, and they do have a place. But again, I treat carbides like a scraper, not like a gouge. But definitely they have their place in their turning. By the way, if you haven't checked him out, check out Soldier Farms. He's building well, he did a dulcimer last month, or back in January, but now he's building a ukulele, and he's doing quite well with it. So check out his videos on that. I did one, gosh, 5-6 years ago, and it does have its challenges, but so far he's doing a pretty good job on it. And I like that stain that you chose. Also, please check out the Whacking Shack, 77 Rockets, Timber Designs, board creations. Mike Wilson here has some great stuff he's been doing lately. So, Mike, if you want to put your place up there, or Soldier, if you want to put yours up there, feel free to put that in the comments section. But if you go down to the description, section, you'll see a lot of the guys that I work with, good friends that we've been building this wood turning group together, and also you'll see the discount for the Strongink in there, and yeah, so everything you need to know is right there in the description area. And again, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you can. I think I've got, what, 27 likes? That's not very many likes. I would like to think you. I hope you like me more than that. Likes have been hard to come by lately. I don't know why. Just to get 100 or more. Of course, we used to get 1,000 people in here watching at one time too, instead of 30 or 40. So I'm not sure what's going on with the algorithms now. That's changed all that, because I think we're putting out better content now than we were 6 months ago. We're trying to get to 5,000 subs. We have 4,550 or something like that, or 575. So if you can help us get to that magic 5,000 mark, I'd appreciate it. It'd really be helpful to me, and it'd be helpful to the other people that I work with. Okay. really hard to feel because there's so much. Look at all that crap coming in here. Just so much of that coming out. It's really hard to feel. I got the right side smooth. I'm gonna have to use a scraper here and see if I can't do that. There. Well, I think I got that as cleaned out as I can. And I did use the carbide for some of it. Hope you appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to try using this negative rate scraper for just a second. I don't know if it will give me anything, slice any cleaner at the bottom or not. But we'll try. Just a little bit in there. I can't get cleaned out for some reason. There we go. That's better. All right. I knew there was something I still needed to do on that. Okay. Well, boy, I got loads of this shaved off wood. Look at this. This is what it is. There's not a curl in there. It's all end grain, and it's all just the end of the into the wood. It's like mowing a lawn. Okay, I'm going to try vacuuming some of that out real quick. Just so I can get a cleaner feel for what's in there. All right. Another big chunk of that bark that came out of it. Okay. Now we're going to have to sand. And there's nothing I can do about this, guys. If you don't like watching sanding, I don't know what to tell you, but I got to sand. I got to sand. That's just what it is. There's no way around that. And I'm going to have to sand it pretty good, actually. see what that did. Well, that took some of the harshness off there. There's just so much pitting because it's like all in grain, even on the outside. It's really hard to get a smooth surface. I'm going to try as best I can. I think this is going to be really pretty once we put a finish on it. Already looking better. Got somebody trying to call me. I'm going to have to call him back later. Okay. Sorry, somebody was trying to call me there. We're okay. We're okay. We were trying to call in and that interrupted the signal a little bit. Since I put that speedify on my thing, I haven't had any of that arm of death kind of stuff going on. So that's really good. I suppose if I had a do not disturb on there too, I would have cut back on the phone being interfered with if somebody's calling. Have to look into that. Okay, there, we're starting to get some nice on the outside. Now let's go to the inside. It's actually looking a little better. Slow but surely. You can start to see some of that spalting and so forth that's in there. Now let's try going the other direction there. I think that's really coming along. We might actually have salvaged this thing eventually here. Okay, I'm going to go from that to a little bit better, a little bit finer grit. Oh yeah, that's coming along nicely. I mean, it's not going to be smooth, shiny finish, but it's not going to be that big, hairy roughness that you saw earlier, I don't think. It'll have its spots. It'll have its spots, but it's not going to have that same problem that it did have. We're getting there. I think what you're finding is you can see that you don't have to give up on a piece of wood just because it looks like it's not going to cooperate. Fortunately, it's a little bit harder wood on the outside for the most part, so I can stand out some of that problem that I couldn't stand out on the inside. Okay, we're going to go to one last one, just do a real quick one, and this should do it. Taxi service, that's always something, isn't it? The crew that built your barn got fired. How'd they get fired, Tim? Was it fired by you or fired by the construction company that was using it? You know, one time for a long time, I was a director of human resources for a company. We were a consulting firm for businesses, and we were in quite a few states. I did all the legal work, hired by the contractor. Yeah, and we had a landscape contractor who was doing a lot of new home construction, landscaping, and that sort of thing. And came across his crew one time, and they were all practicing, seeing who could pee highest on the back of the wall of the house that was being built. Uh, so obviously they had to fire that whole crew because the guy who was in charge of the crew and all the employees. So if he didn't, he would have lost that contract with the construction company. And as it was, he had a lot of explaining to do, especially since it was seen by one of the people that was already living in one of the houses that was built. So yeah, don't let your employees pee on people's houses. I don't know, soldier. You do so much turning now. I can't imagine what you're going to do if you have 12 days off. Unless you also take 12 days off from turning. Of course, they can use those 12 days to learn how to play your instrument, right? That you're building, or the dulcimer. So, okay, guys. Well, I got this done. I'm going to just vacuum it out inside a little bit, just to make sure we get rid of all the dust before we put the finish on. All right. All right. Well, I'm going to put I think I'm going to go back to my old standard finish here first and put some of it on. And then we will uh, see what else we can do. But I want to try to start with this because it's going to really suck this in. Look at that. It went in and it just disappeared. Can't even rub it in because it disappears too quick. Wow. Gonna take a whole bottle just on the outside. I'm gonna have to use a brush. Maybe I can get in there quicker with a brush. I don't know. But it's not going to wipe in fast enough, that's for sure. Okay. Yeah, that might work faster. Also get into the little crevice a little better. Wow. This is not making it easy. Just getting into this crevice is taking a lot. Wow. I'm going to use half my bottle of tung oil on this thing. Yeah. Well, it's what it is. We'll be going back over this with some wax and I think to preserve it once we get this in here. But right now, it's just sucking this up. It's thirsty. I can't put it on fast enough. There. I think I'm starting to catch up with it now a little bit. Wow. Okay. Put some on the inside here where you're going to get a better view of what it looks like. Look at that. Just sucking it in as fast as I put it in there. By the time I lay the bottle down, it's sucked into the wood. That is some dry, dry wood. Wipe that off of there. Stick. Believe it or not, nothing of it splashed off on me, even at 1200 RPMs. That's how much it took in. Well, that's just the first coat, but I think you can get an idea of what it's going to look like. Let me take this off of here for now, so you can get a look. It's extremely light, this bowl. I'm going to put a little bit more in here because it's just sucking it up. Its end grain sucks up the stuff anyway a lot faster than side grain does. So it'll suck this up, and it will dry, and it will harden inside, and it'll harden those fibers. That's what tung oil does. That's why I chose to use it here, because tung oil will get into the wood and harden and help preserve the wood. Wax won't do that. Wax stays pretty much on the outside. It does do a good job of protecting the outside of the wood, but it doesn't strengthen the wood like this does. Okay, so that's why I use it for some of these wool projects. It's just a better idea for the finish. Okay, so what do you think? That's an end grain bowl with its own bottom. Pat Jeff is a good turner, interesting to watch, but he laughs at my jokes. Yeah, well, I laugh at everybody's jokes. Yeah. Yeah, this is spalted. This is punky end grain wood spalted. I mean, it had everything wrong with it, and every reason not to turn it. But look at this. Doesn't that deserve to be a bowl? I mean, look at that. That outside of that was just screaming, "Turn me!" Now the other one, which I turned sideways into the bowl with the end grain, completely different look to the bowl, but still had these beautiful colors in it. These dark browns and light browns and so forth, and even a little red. There's even a little bit of a kind of almost bluish color right here. So I think it came out really nice. It's going to do well when I go to sell it, I'm sure. Even the spalting is even down in here. You know, it's not a shiny piece, and it's not going to be. I don't want it to be shiny. I think it's better this way. So see, sometimes you can turn things that just don't look like they're supposed to be turned, and you end up with something really nice. Now, this is what it looked like on the other side. Look at this black. It was waxed. I've got to get that all sanded, cleaned off and sanded off, and I got to sand the bottom. I did this with a faceplate with short screws, and by putting this on here, I was able to avoid getting into where the screws come out the other side so that you won't see any screw holes. So this is a solid bowl. There's no holes in it anywhere, so it can hold water. So anyway, it could be anything. It can be a nut bowl. It can be a candy dish. It can be a planter. Yeah, I like the rustic for this. I don't think this would look good any other way. If you made this shiny, I think it would actually take away from the look. What's interesting is you have a relatively smooth outside now, even though you have this really rough inside. And look, as it's drying, and it's already dry to the touch. I'm going to have to do several more coats, but it's already dry to the touch, and it's alive. You know, this is a living thing. You can see where the limb went in here and came in here. This was another limb that was right there, and we managed to save that, which it could have broken out, and it didn't. I was real careful with that, and so we avoided all those all those issues. And I think I'm really happy and surprised at this one. If you didn't see earlier today, I'll bring them over here. I turned these two Strongink pins with Coca-Cola wood. So, hey, there you go. It's now a bowl for holding pins. This is the chrome one, and this is the gunmetal version. And they're very, very nice, light, nice weighted pins. They're really strongly built. I mean, I really love the construction of these pins. They're hefty. They're well made. It's not just something that just, it doesn't feel cheap and cheesy like a lot of these pin kits do. It's a very quality pin kit. I'm very, very impressed with them, and I'm impressed with their prices too. By the way, these pin kits are like, I think $5 or $6. And if you bought these from some of the other non-manufacturers and third-party people out there, these are selling for anywhere from $10 to $15, $20. And on their site, they're like $5, $6. Some are $4 and $3. In fact, there's some pens that are less than $2 for pin kits. Yes, I did have my mask on. In fact, I had my respirator mask on. And I can tell you right now, those filters caught a lot of dust. Plus, I have two air filters going on in the shop. Plus, I have so they're collecting. Plus, I have this dust collector here, all working at the same time. So yes, I do have all those things going. Yeah, very reasonably priced. And if you can go in with a couple other guys and buy some at a discount too, if you can buy like a package deal, like you say, get 15 of something or something like that, you can get a better rate too. So that's always a good deal too. I've been on here for 105 minutes now. We only have 32 people watching apparently, according to this. Let's see. It says, I'm not sure what it says. It says we got not very many likes, but I had a good time. I hope you guys did too. Sometimes you get a lot of people here and sometimes you don't. And it's just the way it is. I thought maybe going to 2:00 in the afternoon, I would get a little better oomph, but apparently not. A lot of people are working, I guess, or they're in bed, or they're watching the basketball games, or any number of things. There's a lot of stuff going on. So anyway, I really appreciate you guys being in here. Soldier, I appreciate you coming on. And hey, Johnny. Yeah, Johnny, just so you can see, we turned these two Coca-Cola pins from Strongink. I had the wood, but we need these two Coca-Cola pins. And then we turned an end grain bowl. And you can see here. Still in the process of being finished because it's going to take probably another pint to this. I do turning too, huh? Alan, good. Welcome to the group. Smack the like button or hit the subscribe button if you like. I do these lives every Thursday, and I usually do at least one or two other lives during the week. There's also a membership thing where I do some of my lives, and I also have about 250 videos on my channel already. We've only started in May, so 250 videos since May. That's pretty good. Yeah. I always try and teach something new. I always it's hard to come up with a new tip after 250 videos, but I try and teach something new every time I can. Today we tried using two different kinds of tools to turn this with. We used two different kinds of tools to turn these with, so that you can see the difference between them. But I think they both came out really nice. And this shine's coming off just a little bit because I've been handling it. I'll go back and buff these up again, and they'll be ready to go for the sale I got coming up. These will be up for sale at our at our meeting in a couple weeks. So I'm still setting up my shed, but between work, farm, and family. Speaking of farm, there was an estate sale coming up tomorrow. I was thinking of going to, but I don't think I will. But it's a whole farm full of equipment, and I mean like probably 60, 70 years worth of equipment, not just farming equipment and tools. He had 5 or 6 shops on the property. I mean it's huge. They're going to be auctioning off some of it in lots because it's just so big. They won't have time to sell everything otherwise. Um, they posted 400 pictures to give you some idea of how much stuff there is. 400 pictures on the website for this thing. But unfortunately, the guy didn't. What the guy didn't do was turning. He has like 3 or 4 drill presses, and he's got a couple band saws and whatnot. But at this point, I'm not really looking for those kind of tools anymore, unless I really come across something special. But yeah, you never know. I like to go to estate sales. Yeah, busy people get stuff done. Eh, Try being retired. You want to see busy? Get retired and then find out how many times a week you have to go see a doctor, dentist, or something else. So far this month, I've had an eye doctor, a dentist. I had my regular doctor, and I've had 3 contractors, and it's only the middle of the month. So you are a lot busier in retirement than you think you are. Yeah, don't put your back out again. That's for sure. Yeah, not only are my tools antiques, but I'm the one who bought them. So I'm the antique who bought them in the first place. No, no, I've got a lot of antiques. Here, I will show you actually, guys. I'll take you around the shop just a little bit here, if I can. And you'll see that I've got a little collection of antique here that I've been working on. And I picked up recently, I picked up 3 very old saws that are running about $100 a piece. I bought them for $4 each, so I've been reconditioning them. But I like to buy these if I don't have the right that size, and I will recondition them and get them back in order. I bought a couple that were still in the box. I bought a Craftsman the other day that was still in the box, and it was 30 years old. I never used it. 30 years old, brand new plane. So, sometimes you can get really good deals. When I go to estate sales, I just tell people I'm buying stuff for my own estate. I want people to be impressed when they go to my estate sale. So, I know the feeling. Books on my broke my back 8 times, neck 2 times. What are you riding motorcycles for a living or something? Sounds like Evil Knievel. Should have had both knees replaced. Oh yeah, I like my older planes, and some of these planes are dead flat even too on the bottom still. I didn't have to do hardly anything to some. In fact, I got one up here. It's a woodblock one, so it's about 100 plus years old, and it's still sharp as can be. So yeah, it just depends on what the person did with the tools and how they treated them, and that's the big thing. Is how I like to go to shops where I can see the guy treat them well. Like these Diston saws that I bought, and Diston's a really good make, and they've been around for 100 years. A couple of those Diston saws look like they've hardly ever touched wood. I mean, they were rusty, but when you look at the sharpness of the blades and so forth, they don't look like they've hardly been used. And so, I mean, that's my find is my gain, not somebody else's, right? So, I'll go with that. All right, guys. Well, hey, I'm gonna get out of here and let you guys go on to the rest of your day, or go and watch the basketball games or whatever. I'm gonna go watch the basketball games, but I really appreciate you all being in here, and we will talk to each other soon. Like I said, they do a live every Thursday, and if you guys want to subscribe, if you haven't already, that'd be great. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.